too.
So welcome to the Triangle. Unfortunately, Dan Kennedy can't be here. He's out celebrating Easter with the family.
By the way, happy Easter to all you lovely people out there.
And so we have David Huffman. We have TJ Hopkins. We're going to talk about the Final Four. We're going to preview the national championship game, which is going to take place on Monday. And then there's a really competitive race for the eighth seed in the Eastern Conference, featuring 5 separate teams, all separated by a game and a half. First, we're going to talk about the Final Four. Kentucky fell. I almost wish Dan Kennedy was here so we could see the look on his face.
I did too.
Yeah, we looked at the look on his face when we were like, Kentucky got bounced. I couldn't believe it.
I texted him last night. Hold on, let me pull it up. I asked him how he was feeling.
Yeah.
And let's just say he was not happy. He was not happy at all. He I texted him like, how you feeling right now, bro? And he responded. He blamed the officiating. He blamed the officiating.
The officiating has been bad in this tournament as a whole.
As a whole, it was
terrible.
It wasn't just last night. The whole tournament has been just
questionable officiating.
Awful. So I texted him, how you feeling right now? He said that was unbelievable. Like, referee license need to be revoked. This is a direct quote from him.
But I think the officiating was bad on both sides of the game. I think that flagrant one they decided not to call on.
Yeah, I didn't know you can just slap mugs in the face and get away with it. I mean,
Ron Artesta has a feud right now.
I'm like, if that's the case, I could be playing ball right now. If that's the case.
The charging call, I don't know, questionable maybe. There were a lot of calls.
I don't like that call. Like outside of that game, I don't like that call in general. Like the man with the ball he jumps in the air and then someone else just slides right under him for a charge. Like, to me, that's like a potential safety hazard. If you ask me, I don't like that call.
I like the charge call. I think it shows hustle and muscle, like being able to put your body on the line in order to win games. I like the charge call.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know, but I think the officiating in this tournament as a whole has been questionable. But let's not pretend that the officiating decided that match. I think Kentucky went 6 minutes in that game without hitting a field goal.
They had 2 stretches like that. They had a couple stretches like that. They had a couple stretches where they didn't
execute their offense. They have their advantage over every team in the tournament is that they have 2 7-footers that can
legit 3.
Yeah,
if you count Trey Lyles.
Well, he's
6'10", 6 like.
He plays small, but you have the size advantage over. Why didn't you go to your big man? I was wondering, like the Harrison twins, they each had the ball all the time, and they never dropped it down low. And I never understood why they were running their offense like that.
Don't get me wrong. Frank Kaminsky, he can ball. He's player of the year for a reason. But there is no way on God's green earth that he can stop Karl Anthony Towns on the defensive end.
No, there's no way.
No way. There's no way.
He was proving it. Karl Anthony Towns was having a monster game, but I don't understand why you wouldn't just keep feeding him until they found a way to stop it. And
I think another one thing Kentucky did that kind of shocked me. They were up 4.
I thought the game was gonna be over at that point.
They were up 4 with 5 minutes left, and they stalled. They were killing. It was like they were in 2 clock offense.
It's like they were playing. They were playing a game not to lose the game.
Exactly.
Not to. They could have easily pulled away. I thought that when they got up by 4, I thought the game was gonna be over. And let me tell you, Sam Decker, clutch.
G.
Dude, that guy is G. Clutch, dude.
That man has G. I'm watching the game. I'm like, I go on Twitter. I'm like, hey, Sam Decker got.
Yeah, dude, that guy's got.
He has something.
He's got ice water in his veins, dude. That step back 3.
I'm like, he hit it. I'm like, yep, Wisconsin's winning this one.
It was that step back 3 was just nasty, super nasty.
But if I can refute back to the officiating, I think the worst call yesterday wasn't the slap, it wasn't the charge.
The 24-second violation.
It was the shot clock violation. How do you miss that?
It was obvious.
It was so obvious.
It was even before. It was almost a shot clock violation before he shot it the first time.
It was in 3 seconds he caught the ball, put it on the floor, shot it, missed it, and got it back. And made the basket.
Yeah,
that is not humanly possible in 3 seconds. And what's terrible about it, the refs couldn't even review it.
I think they should have been able to. I know people hate reviewing like everything.
But
you
that right
gotta
there
get, you
needs
gotta
to
get
be
that was like a whole momentum switch. The shift of momentum that was going on. Like Kentucky was in control, and then that shot happened, and then all of a
because
sudden
they tied the game.
all of a sudden the game, like Wisconsin was like all on this high, like they were all emotional high, and like they took that into the rest of the game, and then they just took over with that big Sam Decker 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kentucky execution at the end was poor, to say it nicely.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
and I know the Harrison twins are notorious for hitting big shots in big moments.
one more than the other.
Yeah, but I think they shouldn't have had the basketball in their hands at the end of that game. I'm not saying that either of them had bad games, but Karl Anthony Towns needs to have the basketball.
He's your best player.
He's the reason you guys are where you are now. Like, give him the basketball and let him create offense and let him do his thing.
But even though Kentucky lost yesterday, you cannot knock what they did. 38-0 is still 38-0. Like that, I don't think something like that will ever be done again.
I think not winning the national championship diminishes it considerably.
Well, I can see that, but like, name another, like, when's the next time you're gonna see a team that's built like this, built like how they were built, who can go, like, how often can college teams go 10 deep?
I think you could. I think it's like right around the same argument like that Patriot team where they went 18-0, but like they lost in the
Super Bowl.
Yeah, like without the. I mean, yeah, the 38-0 is nice. It's like something to hang your hat on, but without the national championship, I don't know if you really did anything.
So, here's the real question: if you're Kentucky, if you're the players on that team,
mm-hmm.
do you leave or do you come back?
I guess it depends on who you are on that team. If you're Cauley-Stein and Towns, I think I would probably go. Because they're gonna be top 5 picks, both of them. I think if you're the Harrison twins, you may stay. I don't know, because I don't know. Your draft stock is a little wishy-washy at the time.
I don't think they're going to be good in the NBA anyway because they've played together their entire lives. I feel like once you separate them from each other, won't.
There's always a chance that they could end up back together. I mean, the Morris twins ended up together after they got drafted at separate locations, and then they got paid together in Phoenix. So I think they could end up in the same location. If you're Trey Lyle, I don't know.
Like if it's me, like, you have the foundation, like, it's there. For me, I would come back just because I can't leave knowing that I was this close, to have it taken away. Like,
I think if you're Karl Anthony Towns and Willie Cauley-Stein, I think you go, because if you get injured next season, your whole career could be.
Yeah, that's great because Cauley-Stein got injured, and
because he would
have been gone last year. Because he left last year.
They're going to be a top 5 pick. They're going to make good money right off going into the NBA. But if let's say they one of them gets tears their ACL, I'm not saying that they won't be a top 5 pick, but the chances of them becoming a top 5 pick decrease.
Okay.
But I think for the rest of those guys, I think Trey Lyle, I think you can redefine your skill. And I think you can be a better draft prospect next season than you are now.
Johnson.
A lot of those guys.
One thing I liked about, I was looking at the two teams. Like, Wisconsin had a team full of juniors and seniors, so the leadership is there. Like, they talked about how that young Kentucky team is poised. Wisconsin was poised the whole game. Like, no matter how far down they were never down by much.
No.
But it's just like, I think what was Kentucky's biggest lead on them? Was like 5-6 points, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's like, to them that's nothing.
Because it would have been easy for Wisconsin to be like, oh, we got down, and then just shut down.
Like every other team before them did.
Yeah. But they didn't. They stayed clutch, and Sam Decker hit the biggest shot of maybe his entire career.
You want to know what's funny? When we talked about this, like, in the very beginning, when we had before the whole tournament started, and we picked our upset picks, did I not have Kentucky losing in the Final Four? Only thing is, I had them losing to Arizona.
I had that. No, I didn't have them losing to Notre Dame, which almost happened.
Should have happened. And Dan Kenny sat right here in this spot, and he kind of mocked both of us. Like,
let's not throw Dan Kenny under the bus. He's not here to defend himself. but yeah, he was like steadfast on Kentucky. I think if they had played Arizona, they probably would have beaten Arizona. I don't know. Kentucky they're so poised and they were just so ready to like jab. They took
probably.
every jab and were ready to jab right back.
I mean, probably if this was Arizona, they probably would have lost. But I had them. No matter what, I had Kentucky losing in the Final Four. I'm not saying the moment got too big. Like, like in this situation, I say Wisconsin won the game more than Kentucky lost the game.
I agree. I think maybe the perfect season may have started to get a little heavy to carry around.
Like you want too many clutch games can take that.
I mean, because especially with basketball, where there's so many elements. Like you could have like one guy could have a bad shooting night. You could have like there's gonna be different variables that you can't really control in a basketball game. That like all of a sudden sometimes the tides can quickly turn on you. And I think maybe carrying around that undefeated season for this long maybe weared on them a little bit. I'm not saying it was the reason maybe they didn't win this game, but I think eventually, like if they had lost the game, let's say they lose the game in the regular season, and so they're like, I think they may have been better off.
Because the pressure of carrying the perfect season is no longer there.
Yeah, it's not there anymore.
But I think the one downfall that really got Kentucky was their lack of rebound. Instead of going for the rebound, they go for the block, which leaves other teams.
It's not even that. Like, how do you have 3 7-footers in your starting lineup, and then you bring on two more 7-footers on your bench, and yet you get a rebound? How does that happen?
Like Frank Kaminsky had 11 rebounds yesterday. Like there's like how does he? I mean, I'm not knocking his skill at all. He had 11 rebounds over Karl Anthony Towns, over Willie Cauley-Stein, over Trey Lyles. I don't even know if Dakari Johnson played yesterday, but he's a legit 7-footer.
It seemed like Calipari shortened up his rotation a little bit last night, so that he didn't play as many guys He played them more minutes than he's typically used to.
I didn't think so. So maybe that could have played over. Maybe that could have played a role in why Kentucky lost yesterday. Because think about it, they're used to. No, I don't think any of their key players played more than 25 minutes a game.
So you think they may have gotten tired?
I think fatigue may have definitely set in. Whereas Wisconsin, Kaminsky, Decker, Nigel Hayes, that crew right there, they're used to playing down the stretch. They're used to playing. Look at their game against Arizona. That game went all the way down to the wire.
A lot of their games.
A lot of their games went down to. So they're probably used to that. Kentucky wasn't used to that.
Well, yeah. Top of that, Wisconsin plays in a much more difficult conference. So even in their conference tournament, they were put to the brink, but they were able to bounce back and have the resolve to win their conference tournament. And now they're going to play Duke.
Transitioning. That was just a manhandle of
Michigan State got hot early and then nothing.
Hit that first 4 threes and
they had a considerable lead at the beginning of the game and
it was like 14-6
and then Duke just steamrolled them.
Coach K calls timeout and he was like, "We're Duke, they're not. Let's do what we do." And
Okafor, man, is just. I know you referenced this before when you were talking about how big his hands are, but
did you see it?
They were talking.
Y'all thought I was joking.
No, I knew. They were talking during the broadcast, and they were talking about this, just the way his head is basket.
Did you see the picture that Rachel Nichols took and posted on Instagram? Of him palming the ball. You can barely see the ball. His hand covers the whole ball.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot to say. Duke was just better. They were a better team. They were better prepared. Maybe not better prepared, but I think they're just a better team than Michigan State.
They had more fun.
And Michigan State, they got on a roll where they were beating a couple teams, but then they ran into Duke, who was a far superior opponent, and they just got buried.
More firepower, better bigs down low. No one on Michigan State's team was checking Okafor. No one could. And if you double team him, his footwork and his passing skills are so good that he's not worried about it. It's like he welcomes it. It's like he wants you to double team him.
And then on top of that, I think the player that improved their draft class during this NCAA tournament more than any other player,
Justice Winslow.
He may become a top 5 pick now.
Like as much as I don't know want him to go,
I can't remember what his draft status was, like where they had him.
Like as much as I don't want him to go, and I really don't want him to go, cause like I hate that one and done rule so much. But if you're like,
his stock is as high right now, I think, than it will ever be.
What's the kid's name that's in China? That Mudai or something like that.
I can't even say it. I can't remember.
Like they project him to be a top 5 pick, and I mean, like, how can y'all say that? Like, we haven't even seen him play, but I think Winslow just propelled himself, like you said, into that top 5.
I think he will be a top 5 pick if he plays.
If he's not a top 5, he's definitely a top 10.
He's definitely a lottery pick. Like,
because like, to me, he's what every team needs. Every team needs a Justice Winslow.
He's big and he's athletic. He's a great defender. He can hit big shots. He can handle the basketball. He is a lot like Paul George. Like Dan Kenny was saying, he's a lot like Paul George. I don't know if he's ever going to be as good as Paul George, but I think he could potentially be Paul George-like, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, the one player I want to see stay is Tyus Jones. Like, I don't want to see him go to the NBA just yet, because I feel like I don't think he's ready. Him and Tyler Ulis, I want them to do at least one more year.
I think if Duke wins the ship,
the whole 5's gone?
I think they're all going to go. What else do you have to prove if you win a national championship? I mean, I guess you could try to repeat, but it's rare. So
you think they're going to pull a Kentucky from 2012, like all 5 starters?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But especially since their draft stock will be their draft stock will be as high as it will be at any point, and unless they repeat, of course. But
I mean, we all know Oakford's going
1 or 2.
Justice Winslow might be going. He's a top 5. If Tyus Jones does go, he's definitely a mid-first rounder.
Yeah, he's a little undersized.
He's undersized, but that does not stop him. Like, I've seen games like he's completely taking over games.
Yeah, he's skilled. He's a good player, but I don't know. I don't know. His NBA future is a little
cloudy.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a little undersized. I don't know. He doesn't shoot the mid-range jump shot as nice as you would like.
So that's why.
But I mean, everybody gets into the league and works on those aspects of their games, and like, so like when basketball becomes your life, you have a lot more time to work on various aspects of your game.
Like, hypothetically speaking, if the championship game was Kentucky Duke, who would win? Because Duke can match up. Duke has 7-footers just like Kentucky has 7-footers.
I don't know. It's hard to say. If at that point I'd almost want Kentucky just to win it all. I wanted to see the 40-0. I wanted to see the 40-0, and I wanted to see, because we're not gonna see. We probably won't see it again in our lifetimes. More than likely.
Like, who knows? Like,
yeah.
Like I said, I don't think a team like this Kentucky team.
The last team to even get to this point, being undefeated, was that UNLV
from '91. Like, I wasn't even born yet. My brother was barely born.
I was 3, so
like my brother's 3 years older than me. He was barely born. I don't even think he was born.
I might have been 2, but yeah,
when that team lost. But it was like I don't think
is that the Ewing team? No, never mind. I don't know.
That UNLV team.
Yeah,
that's Larry Johnson.
Yeah, Larry Johnson. Yeah.
So I don't think a team like this Kentucky team, like I don't think a team ever will be structured the way this Kentucky team was, because like so few teams.
I don't know. I think John Calipari has these teams almost every year. The only difference is that this team didn't have that freshman. They didn't have to take the first 10-15 games to figure out how to play together. It seemed like this team figured out sooner than those other Calipari teams. Like even that John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins team, like that, like you could see how talented all those guys were.
But
they didn't go as far as you would think. And then you had the Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist team, which
Marcus Teague and they just it's like when you have a player like Anthony like that. Now players when that Kentucky team played, like teams literally weren't scoring because when Anthony Davis went up for a block, he got it.
Well, yeah, Anthony Davis is probably the best player John Calipari ever coached.
Like he got it. Like the difference between
Anthony Davis is going to be the best player in the league 2 years from now.
Yeah, you clearly.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you, dude. He's got a skill set that you don't see. You're very rare in the NBA.
Like, what made that Kentucky team special as opposed to this one? Like, besides them winning the national championship, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was their Justice Winslow. He did it. Like, he did it all for them.
He improved his draft stock so much that he always like people talking about him being maybe the first overall pick in that tournament.
He did it all for them, and like he didn't go first, but I think he definitely went.
Two?
He was second. Like he was right behind Anthony Davis.
And he's been a respectable player in the league, I guess. He doesn't shoot threes. His jump shot is super broken, but he's a really good defender.
But like this, I feel like this Kentucky team, they didn't have that scrapper. Like they didn't have that one person who made other people on the other team uncomfortable.
They didn't have a Tony Allen.
They didn't have a scrapper. They didn't have their garbage man. They didn't have a garbage man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sad. I kind of a little bit sad to see the Kentucky team go down, but
you're not the only one. Big Blue Nation, like one fan was literally stayed in Lucas Oil Stadium, and like he was hunched over the chair and he was crying. Like yes, like I'm so glad that SportsCenter got that shot of him hunched over the chair with his face in his arm, crying.
Well, yeah, Kentucky, that's all they know. That's all they know is Kentucky and basketball in the state of Kentucky. It's almost as big as the Bulls here in Chicago.
Oh my God,
yeah. And then so now we're gonna preview the championship game. It's Wisconsin Duke.
Round two.
One of the teams.
Round two.
One of the teams you kind of expected to be there. Wisconsin, maybe not so much. I guess it depends on who you're talking to. How do we feel about this championship game?
I'm actually excited.
I feel like Duke is. I have a feeling they're gonna win easily.
I'm actually excited about this because this is actually a rematch from earlier. This
season. I know, and Duke won by 10 points.
Like I don't know, like Kaminsky, he struggled against Oak for that game. It's like Kaminsky struggles against the physical, big guys.
Because he's like a Bargnani.
But what?
Only not as good as Andrea Bargnani today. I mean, he might become better than Bargnani.
But it's like I feel like Wisconsin's only hope against. Like I ain't gonna say this their only hope. Like what Wisconsin really needs to do and do this early, they have to get Okafor in some type of foul trouble. They have to get one of their key people in some sort of foul trouble, and it's not gonna be Tyus Jones. It's not gonna be Winslow. It's not gonna be Quinn Cook. It's gonna be Okafor. Like they're gonna try to. They're gonna. I feel like Wisconsin's gonna come out early. They're gonna be attacking that rim. They're gonna be trying to get Okafor in some type of foul trouble. So Coach K has to sit him down early, and Kaminsky can just go to work like that.
I think that's the only way they can win the game. They have to get Okafor in foul trouble and get him out of the game early. I don't think they can possibly defend him. They're gonna have to double team him, and when they double team him, that's gonna leave open 3-point shooters, and that's how Duke buries teams. You gotta double team Okafor, and then he's skilled enough to pass out of double teams into wide open shooters, and it's just gonna be they have to get him off the court.
And Okafor, he can also knock down that 10 to 15 foot jumper.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't really expecting that, but with that game against Michigan State, he was kind of knocking it down. But it was like the way I see it, Decker and Winslow, they're going to cancel each other out. Because I
don't know if Sam Decker is as good a defender as Winslow is.
They're going to cancel each other because they're going to be guarding each other. That's why I said they're going to be guarding each other.
Okay.
I feel like Tyus Jones and Quinn Cook, they are better than Wisconsin's backcourt.
Probably, yeah. They have Captain America and the other guy. Okay.
Not to mention, I feel like Duke has more firepower coming off the bench.
I think that's not even a question.
Because even if they do get Okafor in trouble, like in foul trouble, Coach K does have Marshall Plumlee on that bench, who he's
a scrapper.
He's a scrapper. He's not like his brothers.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not as good as his brothers.
He's not as good as his brothers. But 7 foot is 7 foot.
Yeah. and his basketball IQ is really high because of playing, and that's with the other brothers and all the Plumlees. And
he's been at Duke for 4 years.
Yeah, so his basketball IQ is really high. Like that screen he set on that driving layup against Michigan State, like that was a beautiful screen.
7 foot is 7 foot. You can't cheat 7 foot. Like 7 foot bothers everyone.
But but he's not going to be scoring. He's not a big scorer. He's more of a defensive. He's more of a defensive player.
That's really all you need though, like because you're gonna throw him on Kaminsky, and like Marshall Plumlee, he's not afraid to go out on the 3-point line. Like Okafor or Plumlee, like both of them can guard Kaminsky out. Like they're not uncomfortable stepping out of that paint.
And not to mention, you don't worry about Marshall picking up fouls. He can foul out for all you don't care.
Right, you got 5 fouls. I'm pretty sure you got other big bodies on the bench. Like
you could make the same argument though for Wisconsin if Frank Kaminsky gets in foul trouble early because he may facing Okafor with all his range of moves. If he gets in foul trouble too, the game could be over early. I just don't think if they lose Frank Kaminsky to foul trouble, I don't know if they'll be able to recover. They don't have anybody coming off the bench who's going to be able to do what Frank Kaminsky does.
Period.
Yeah, like there's nothing like that'll be it.
I would just like to insert this in real quick. Okafor, Kaminsky, Towns. 3 young, skilled big guys. I've never seen better footwork, better passing skills.
Well, Frank Kaminsky's a junior, I think.
He's still young.
Yeah.
He's still young. Never seen these big men in college with this array of footwork, this great skill of footwork this early in their careers. Especially for Okafor and Towns because they're 18,
Joel
19.
Embiid before he got injured was really something last season. Like he was really skilled. But because it usually takes big men longer to develop than it would be like a point guard or something of that nature.
It's like
because you got to get comfortable with your body because most of the people go through these growth spurts in high school and all of a sudden become 7 feet tall, and it's like so you got to get used to becoming who you are now as a player. So yeah, the transition doesn't usually happen overnight. But with these 3 guys, it seems to be they already knew who they were and what they were about right away.
So it's like Okafor, he was already tall. Okafor growing up, he was the tallest one in his class. Mm-hmm. Woo. I feel like Frank Kaminsky's his shooting ability. He had to be a guard at some point.
Yeah.
In his life, and he just like you said had one of those insane growth spurts. And you take that guard that can shoot into a 7-footer that can shoot.
Same thing with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis was the starting point guard on his freshman team in college, and now he's 7 feet tall and he's gonna get a quad someday. I'm sure of it.
Has to be.
All right, so who wins?
Duke.
I will pick Duke as well, and I do not think the game will be close.
I think for TV's sake, it's gonna be close.
I think Duke is gonna blow them out.
You think? Okay.
I don't know if it'll be early. They may it may be they'll come out. They may become 10 points. Well, let's say they'll be up by 8 going into halftime, and then they'll just steamroll.
Okay, so I can see that. I can see one of those teams having the lead going into halftime, and the second half come out it's some sort of dogfight, and then I think Duke. Duke halfway through the second half will pull away.
I think Duke has better players. I think they have a better coach, and I think
not knocking Bo Ryan at all.
I'm not. But when you're going against Coach K, you're automatically going to lose the coaching conversation. Yeah, Bo Ryan's a good coach, but he's not Coach K.
It's like every coach is compared to Coach K. It's just not fair. The guy has over 1,000 wins. It's just not fair.
He's 60 games over 500 in the NCAA tournament.
What?
Yeah.
What?
All right, so we're gonna transition over to the NBA now, and surprisingly, there's a really tight race for the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. It features 5 teams. The Pacers are a game and a half back. The Celtics are currently in the 8th spot. The Heat are a half game of the Celtics back. The Nets are the 7th seed, and the Hornets are a game and a half back. If you had to pick 2 of those teams to represent the East, there's a 7 and 8. Who are they?
Want me to be dead honest?
Yeah.
I don't like neither one of these mugs, simply because they can't win 41 games.
Well, that's not the conversation we're gonna have right now. Yes, if they were in the West, they wouldn't be even.
They on the
sniffing.
outside looking in.
They wouldn't be sniffing nothing. They wouldn't be sniffing.
If I had to choose between the teams,
the 5 teams that
Miami would be my 7th seed because I want that 2-7 matchup with Cleveland in Miami because I want to see that. And Brooklyn.
Okay.
Granted, they just got completely dismantled by Atlanta the last night. Like,
with Al Horford.
It was
Paul Millsap having a bad injury.
It was like 131 to like 99 or some ridiculous score like that. Like it was. I mean, like that did like. Don't get me wrong. Like before last night, Brooklyn they been balling. They had
Brook Lopez has been.
They had like a 6-game win streak.
Yeah, they were saying that Brook Lopez is finally looking healthy for the first time in a couple seasons. Yeah,
same thing with Darren
because
Williams.
he had a crazy surgery where they basically you have a screw in your foot and they break your foot around the screw and then like reattach your foot back together.
So the foot heals around the screw.
Yeah. It's called. It has a crazy name. It sounds painful.
Is that like the same thing? KD?
No, it's not. They're hoping that Kevin Durant doesn't have to have that surgery. Like,
okay.
Like they've had to do a couple like go in and like do some stuff with the screw, but they've never had to like re-break everything. Like so like he had a crazy surgery last year, and now he finally looks healthy, and he's been playing since the All-Star break. He's been playing crazy good at basketball.
Yeah, cause like if I had to, those are my two. Miami and Brooklyn.
If I had to pick two that I'd really like to see in the playoffs, I'd like to see the Heat at 7, for just the reason you spoke about with the Cavaliers. I want to see that Wade LeBron first round matchup, and then 8. I'd really like to see the Pacers, and I'd like to see like the tables being swayed on the Heat or on the Hawks, where they were the Pacers were the 1 seed last year, and then they got taken to 8 games by the
7.
Oh, it's 7 games, yeah. by the Hawks last year, and now the Pacers are going to be the 8th seed. Paul George is coming back tonight, and it'll be interesting. Well, the problem is that a lot of those teams play each other, so I don't know if the Pacers and the Heat, like the way it works, I don't know if they'll be able to get in at the same time. I think the Hornets are done. I think that Al Jefferson, they're saying that he probably won't play.
They're talking about shutting him down, so they're done.
They're saying that he probably won't play again this season.
So they're done.
So I think that they're automatically out of the conversation. Even though I like them as a team going into the season. I thought that it would be I don't think they would be battling for this kind of playoff position when they started.
I thought they would be.
I thought they'd
way
be.
better.
I think they'd be like a 4 or 5 seed.
Exactly, because you had Kemba, Lance Stevenson.
Yeah, and I liked
Marvin Williams.
I liked adding Noah Vonleh to the Al Jefferson.
Like, they barely played him though. Like
he must be like in the doghouse or something.
Which made zero sense. Like, can you imagine that front line?
He had a nasty dunk yesterday or the day before. Like,
can you imagine him and Al Jefferson?
Yeah, I thought that was like when they drafted him. When they drafted Noah Vonleh.
I thought that was the plan.
When they drafted Noah Vonleh, I thought they would I was like, yeah, that works. Like I could see it. Like Al Jefferson manages the inside. You could have Noah Vonleh who can shoot threes and hit the outside shot, and like they just don't play him. And I just like when that happened in the draft day, I was like, that's a really good move. Like that's a good pick.
Cause like I thought at least bring him off the bench because you do have Cody Zeller down there, and like he's no scrub. Like Cody Zeller, he's not a scrub by a long shot. He's a decent young big man. Like granted, he has a lot more to learn.
He's got to redefine his game, work on it a little bit. But yeah, he's an okay player. I mean, he's not knocking him or anything. But Boston, I think Boston's the wild card though. I think. Because they beat the miracle shot last night by Marcus Smart.
Like, I don't think they have enough.
Evan Turner's been playing out of his mind.
He's been playing out of his mind, but I don't think they have enough. Like I feel like if they were to get the A seed,
I think they would be swept.
Atlanta would sweep them in their sleep.
Yeah. I know. I like the Pacers as the 8th seed. The Paul George coming back thing is interesting. They said a couple things, so he's not 100%. He's going to be on crazy minute restriction, so I don't know exactly how much he's actually going to play.
I mean, like, to be honest, I get the whole thoroughbred horse reference that Michael Jordan, Larry Bird say, like in order for him to get better, like he has to play. But at this point, like you are fighting for a playoff spot. He hasn't played all season. Like, do you risk? Do you risk throwing him in? Like if he's gonna be in like you said, a crazy minute restriction, why play him? Like,
this is a conversation that I am totally on the other side with you on this one. I think it is worth it. even if he only plays 20 minutes a game. I think
Because
just to get him back into the flow of an NBA game.
Do you think his I get what you're saying, like you feel like his presence will uplift? Like,
No.
No?
I think it could. I think it could actually hurt the Pacers to bring him back. But I think for his psyche,
okay,
it's good for him as a player. I think it's for a team, it may hurt them because now you're giving minutes to a player that you're not sure what he is, as opposed to somebody who's like proven in your role. Like
who's been there the
let's say
season.
let's say you take C.J. Miles minutes. You know, C.J. Miles is a decent player, but let's say you take like who hits threes,
plays defense.
yeah. So now you're gonna replace like 10 minutes of his time with Paul George. And Paul George is going to be rusty. He's not going to be even half of the player that he was before he got injured. But I think for his psyche, for his emotional psyche,
This is needed.
I think it'll be good for him just to get back on the floor and so just like run around and play a couple games without having to without getting injured, and like so he can like put that injury behind him, especially because of how devastating the injury was.
Exactly.
Because I think it could have been easy for him to be like, no, I'm gonna shut it down. I'm not gonna play this season.
I mean, lucky for him, I'm not gonna say lucky for him. Like when he
No,
broke,
he's you're right.
when
As opposed to
when he broke his leg, it was a clean break,
Mhm.
which allowed the healing process to be that much easier as opposed to a fracture or a small crack. Like a clean break, like when people hear like a broken leg, like they don't think about whether it's a clean break or small fracture here or there. Like they say a broken leg is a broken leg. The fact that when Paul George broke his leg, that it was a clean break, it allowed his healing process, his rehab process to go that much smoother, be that much better, which is why he's coming back.
Yeah.
8 months later.
I think if you're gonna have a gruesome injury on the internet that goes viral, I think this is the one that's better than like let's say like I think his recovery time was less than like a Sean Livingston who basically didn't play for 2 seasons. I like those really bad knee injuries that you have to like turn away from, like because you just like Marcus Lattimore, like people who have to retire because they have these disgusting knee injuries. Like if you're gonna have an injury of that nature, I guess that's okay. Because his rehab was less than like Sean Livingston or Marcus Lattimore who ended up having to retire. Like yeah, the injury looked really bad, but he's gonna be okay in the long run. Like it's not so bad.
Yeah, but him coming back tonight, I'm gonna try to watch it, cause being in the dorms, we don't get every channel that we should be able to get. But I'm gonna try to stream it online, see what he's got. I mean, like, granted, he's gonna be rusty. I mean, the guy hasn't touched the ball in 8 months. Like,
well, I wouldn't say he hasn't.
Well, he has touched the ball, but he hasn't played in
a live game
in 8 months. So, like, but with that being said, I do wish him the best. I'm actually glad he's back.
My level of respect for Paul George is really high. Like, I love him as a player, and I respect the fact that he came back this season when he could have easily chose not to. There are other superstars that have had injuries that were like, nah, I think I'm just going to sit around and do nothing. Not mentioning any names.
You didn't have to.
I'm good.
You didn't have to.
It's just Paul George, he's tough as nails, and I just love the way he carries himself in the game that he, like, and I really hope they do make the playoffs, and because I like to see them give the Hawks the fits in the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they make the playoffs. What a story. Like Paul George.
Yeah.
Paul George comes back. I mean, like you say, you have.
I think if he comes back even to 75% of what he used to be, I think the Hawks will have a hard time with him because I don't know if they have anyone who can really guard him.
I mean, like, who would they throw? Like, they probably have to throw Damari Carroll on him. Or
Cephalosha. Like, Cephalosha's way past his prime. He's not the defender he used to be.
Right.
But it's interesting. But I think I don't know if they will make the playoffs though. I think it'll probably be Brooklyn and Miami. I guess. Because I think Dwayne Wade. I don't know if he'll allow his team not to make the playoffs. I think he'll will the Heat to making the playoffs.
We wouldn't be having this conversation about the Heat if Chris Bosh was still playing.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think they'd be probably past the Bucks, who've looked terrible since they traded Brandon Knight away. I mean, besides like lucky Chris Middleton threes that come out of nowhere.
Right.
I was watching NBA Tonight last night, and they were talking about Chris Middleton for possibly most improved player.
What?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Over Jimmy Butler, over Like,
Yeah,
I don't even know who else.
Yeah, like I was like, how can you not give that award to Jimmy Butler? But yeah, it's crazy.
Oh.
Well, I think we're done for the day. We pretty much talked about the Final Four, the very tight race in the Eastern Conference, and how we feel like the championship game will go down. So I think this is it for the Triangle for today. Dan Kenny should be back next week. So this is the Triangle signing off.